After the Christmas break, there was just one question. Had Santa delivered any upgrades on his sleigh for those winter re-prep jobs? The MGJ Engineering Circuit Rally Championship was back for round 4, and on the appropriately titled MGJ Engineering Brands Hatch Winter Stages. An appropriately titled rally. It really was cold at Brands Hatch, and those stages would start out pretty icy. But unlike the previous round, where Michael Igoe and Will Atkins went for a high-speed spin down the main straight, remember that? This time they kept things going nice and smooth in the right direction to open up a 17-second lead after 2 stages. Big expectations after their fantastic debut. Second place at this stage will be Patrick O'Donovan and Jack Morton. Missing the previous round due to other commitments, they were back to see if they could repeat victory from Cadwell Park round 2. So far, they'd be in a chasing position, but were keeping themselves in the fight and entertained. Reigning champions and coming here, champions-elect John Griffiths and Emma Morrison will be a further 5 seconds back at this stage in 3rd. They were finding the conditions here at Brands Hatch tricky on the first stage of the day, but luckily any small moments were at pretty low speed, so they stayed safe and kept it in one piece. It was a fast start though for Tony Robinson and Paul Spooner. They end the morning's first stages in 4th place on the overall leaderboard. The times were looking very promising as well, just a further 5 seconds back from our reigning champions up ahead. For Sean and Colin Quigley, it will be 5th place. They were close to the Skoda up ahead as well, just 1 second separating them as they reached the end of the first loop of stages. Richard Weaver and Dylan Thomas make a great start to lie in 6th place for now. The Fiesta pair last sat together on this event the previous year, where they finished 6th. So today was looking like it could at least be a repeat of that. And it was great to see Joshua and Tamsin Davey back out in the trusty Darien, although they might not be thinking that themselves inside the car with these conditions. They do manage, though, pretty well, ending stage 2 with 7th overall, and of course with that position leading Class D quite emphatically. Ollie O'Donovan and Ashley Morris, the second of our Rallycross stars, weren't exactly where they wanted to be this morning. Not having the best of days, but at least they were still in the fight, even if they were a bit further down the order in 8th place for now. And first place in our Class C runners this weekend at this stage will be Martin Hodgson and Tony Jones. Having a good, clean run, that characteristic smile back on Martin's face now he was back in his rally car, taking a bit of an advantage in that position as well, from 9th place on the overall leaderboard. And rounding out the top 10 were Darryl Taylor and Steve McNulty, just 4 seconds back from Hodgson on the overall times at this stage. Let's take a look, as we always do, at some of the class positions at this stage. And with Martin Hodgson out in the lead of Class C, it will be up to James Garner and Jordan Joynes to lead the rest away, taking 2nd place in the class at this stage in the event. 3rd in the class will belong to Richard Weatherly and Sean Leyland. They'd have been in 2nd place as far as the times were concerned, but a 10-second penalty would push them down the order. In Class D, with the Davies Darien out in the lead, it would be Sam and Jack Cox, who were 2nd place in the class after stage 2. An impressive performance, just 18 seconds behind the class leaders. And keeping things nice and exciting, just a single second back from them will be James and Josh Slaughter. 3rd place in Class D for the Escort pair at this stage. In Class E, it was that fantastic Fiesta Super 1600 of Ashley Davies and Sam Forden. They'd had a 20-second lead in the class at this early stage. 2nd in the class behind that wide-arched Fiesta will be the Lotus pair of Joseph and Daniel Duffy. This car now becoming synonymous with this series. They started out a little slower than they'd wanted and than perhaps we'd expected on the opening stage, but were gaining time and momentum as they came out for stage 2. And 3rd in the class will be Callum Francis and James Francis Beck. Close on the times as well, just 3 seconds the gap to 2nd place. In Class B, it was the entertaining Evo of Wayne Larbalestia and Roland Francis leading the way. 9 seconds, the advantage at the top of the class after 2 stages this morning. Second place in the class behind them would be the Impreza pair of Stephen Johansson and Chris Cooper, although they actually had been fastest over the first stage of the day. And third, it was a great performance from Sam Gendy and Samantha Bartlett, a little further back with 58 seconds to catch up on the crews ahead for now. And in Class F, it will be the hard-charging Nova of Anthony and Christopher Newton, who open up a 10-second lead by the end of the 2 morning stages here at a very chilly Brands Hatch. Oliver and Simon Howard in the Micra will be the closest to that class lead, just 10 seconds back from the top of the class leaderboard at this stage. And for Jonathan Bray and Gary White in the MG, it will be third place, a little further back with 49 seconds to find going into the next pair of stages if they wanted to change proceedings. So with the morning stages complete, the leaderboard at the top here on the MGJ Engineering Brands Hatch winter stages was shaping up something like this. Over the next few stages, things had warmed up just a tad. No ice on those stages anymore. Plenty of battles through the leaderboard, though. There wouldn't be any change, though, in the lead. Michael Igo and Will Atkins continue to set the pace, now with a 38-second advantage. And with the ice completely gone across the stage, it was the first chance for the pair to really push that new Citroën properly. There'd be a change in second place now, though, with John Griffiths and Emma Morrison taking that spot in that orange Fiesta. But with just 2 stages to go and that big gap ahead, it was probably where they'd be ending up staying, unless anything happened up ahead. Partly that reason for the move into second would be the loss of Patrick O'Donovan and Jack Morton. They'd been going well, but they clipped a chicane, getting themselves a big penalty in the process, slipping right down the order and just really treating the rest of the day as a bit of seat time and, as Patrick put it himself, very sportingly, a bit of fun. So third place now was Tony Robinson and Paul Spooner. Still going well, putting in the times as well to take a podium position, even with a 10-second penalty on the books themselves. The day, though, wasn't getting much better inside the car for Ollie O'Donovan and Ashley Morris, even if the timesheets were looking a bit better. They were still struggling. The times, though, were looking okay, the pair keeping inside the top of the results with 4th place for now. Joshua and Tamsin Davey, though, were still impressing the spectators and still pushing that Darien hard through these tricky Brands Hatch stages. Still slippery, even without the ice. They were pushing a bit too hard at times, spinning the car on this corner. Luckily managing to style it out and keep it going with minimal time lost, perhaps a bit of scare for the car behind. Ending stage 6 in 5th place overall, still leading their class. So with those changes at the top of our leaderboard, and before we take a look at the class and final results at the end of the rally here today, this is how the overall standings are looking going into the final stages with those spot lamps bolted on here in Kent. On to the final stages then of the Brands Hatch winter stages, sponsored by MGJ Engineering. And a look at Class F first. And third place in the class would be the Christmas Mini. Duncan and Laura Christmas enjoying themselves and getting that little car round to the end of the event with a podium in the class to show for it. Just ahead of them in the class will be Jonathan Bray and Gary White. A strong performance. They take second place at the finish in that MG. But taking the class victory and showing that dominance that we've come to expect from them when everything comes together, Anthony and Christopher Newton. A good advantage by the finish as well would see them take a comfortable victory in the class. On to Class E, and it will be third place for Vince Bristow and Tim Sayer in the oldest car on the entry, that 1969 Mark I Escort Mexico. A great end to the event, only 20 seconds back in that position as well. Ahead of them at the finish will be somewhat of a specialist here at Brands Hatch, Paul Sheard and Colin Stevens. A good run in the MX-5, rewarding them with a second-in-class finish here at round 4. But taking victory will be Joseph and Daniel Duffy. Those Mad Max lights still on the roof of the Lotus. They were getting that position very emphatically after the loss of Ashley Davies and Sam Fordham in the Super 1600 Fiesta when they went out with mechanical problems. In Class B, there'd only be 2 crews remaining by the finish. Such had been the attrition rate here at Brands Hatch at round 4. So it would be second place in the class for Sam Gendy and Samantha Bartlett in the newer Evo. And for Wayne, Lava Lestia and Roland Francis in the older example, and just channeling those works colours here at Brands, it would be the class victory. A good finish to a day of entertaining the crowds and of course themselves here at Brands Hatch, even if at times they didn't feel like they were going that fast. In Class C, it would be a third place finish for Nigel and Catherine Brain in the MX-5. The gaps at the top of the class had opened up a little by the end of the rally, it was fair to say. Before we go further down Class C, here's a look at Class D. Third place there was Alistair Hutchinson and John Dykes, pedalling that Clio well this weekend to take that position, as well as finishing just outside the top 10 overall in 11th place. So that does mean we're on to the all-important top 10 leaderboard, and in that 10th position will be Tim Mewitt and Liz Jordan. They very happily end the event, and very deservingly too, in second place in Class D this weekend. Back to Class C, it will be second in the class for Richard Weatherly and Sean Leyland, ending the rally with 9th place overall as well in the Fiesta. And taking victory in Class C after leading for the entire day will be Martin Hodgson and Tony Jones. A strong end to the rally, a bit of a mixed season so far, but that smile never far from their faces. Despite the spin and a few slides around the rally school section of the stage, though, it would be a good finish for Joshua and Tamsin Davey, who take the Class D victory as well as 7th place overall back in that Darien. Richard Weaver and Dylan Thomas repeat the same result that they'd taken in 2023 on this event, finishing with 6th place on the overall leaderboard. An impressive performance, particularly as they've been driving it like a Mark II Escort all day. Sean and Colin Quigley have a good afternoon, keeping things nice, neat and tidy. Pretty fast as well to take 5th place this weekend. The pair crashed out of the MGJ Engineering Brands Hatch winter stages last year, so a finish here was welcome. 5th place, a bonus. Frustratingly for Tony Robinson and Paul Spooner, after that brilliant performance, they were unable to hold on to their podium position going into the final stages of the rally. They slipped down slightly to take 4th place by the end of the day, missing out by just 6 seconds. But get this, completing the 4th of 4 manufacturers in the top 4 of the rally. Pretty impressive. So that means that it was 3rd place by the finish for Ollie O'Donovan and Ashley Morris. Not their best days rallying, but brilliant damage limitation. They managed to come away with that final step of the podium and a good haul of points to boot. No change at the top of our results, though, in this last part of the day. John Griffiths and Emma Morrison keeping hold of that 2nd spot. The gap by the finish of the rally, 41 seconds. That result does mean that they keep their advantage at the top of the standings after round 4. And of course, that means it would be another victory for Michael Ingo and Will Atkins. But with a problematic round 2, it means that they were still chasing down that championship lead for now, closing the gap to just 5 points with 5 rounds remaining. And we should point out that Patrick O'Donovan and Jack Morton were the first to congratulate our winning crews at the finish. So with the first round of the new year complete here in the MGJ Engineering Circuit Rally Championship, as we move into the second half of the winter rally season, the results from round 4 looked like this.